Hey everyone, welcome back to Apollo Art Analysis. In today's episode, we're going to be studying a piece by the career 3D artist known as Ryan Hawthorne, and in this episode, we're going to be looking at the miniseries entitled Objkts. We're going to look at the sharp and jagged nature of form. We're also going to look at the English saying known as one for all and all for one. So let's jump right into it. So at first sight, we're struck by the sheer scale of this complex construction. Our first impression is likely one of awe just due to the advanced sight before us. And so, of course, you may notice how both our perspective and the subjects are placed in perfect center. We see this further reinforced by various dark on light accents, really making their form just impossible to miss here. Another thing I notice is the impact of color. We see this quite clearly, right? You have red and blue here. And the nature of red and blue, I actually have a color wheel here. Bring that in. Of course, the nature of red and blue, right? What we call a complementary scheme is typically right across from the color wheel. So you'll notice, of course, light blue and red don't quite match up. That's really what we call 2/3 of a tetratic color scheme. But regardless of this, you'll notice they're pretty close to complementary there, right? Light blue is pretty close to red there. And so the nature of that, it's going to be clashing and fighting for the viewer's attention. I think we certainly feel that there. You know, another element that's just impossible to miss here is the nature of form, right? We see these sharp and jagged lines adding a sense of energy to the composition and making their presence just impossible to miss. Another thing you may notice is the impact of symmetry. This work is near symmetrical in nature. When we're offered such symmetrical sights, we instantly feel a sense of balance, harmony, and order. Although it's distorted within this composition, that's also pretty important to note. You know, with this in mind, how do y'all feel when you view this piece? The setting of the scene is quite strange to consider, right? However, after a short time with this scene, you may see a virtual landscape with slightly surrealist spirits, right? We have this strange, cloud kind of hovering, different various geometric shapes, and even a lone subject, albeit a very low poly subject, far within the composition. So this setting is quite strange, right? And in some ways, this massive scaled structure feels like our main subject. But at the end of the day, the piece feels foreign and even alien in nature. I think we certainly feel that there. And so, like I said, we meet this lone subject within the foreground there. He's just standing all alone. And you'll notice this companion hovers near his head, perhaps to assist him within this mystical metaverse, although it's hard to say exactly what's happening. This piece is part of the Objkts miniseries. I'll go a bit deeper of that here in a second near the end of the video, but regardless, the title of this work is One for All, may aid in getting some insights on the work at hand. Of course, the common English saying known as one for all and all for one typically denotes the necessity of teamwork and cooperation, although at the end of the day, I just wanted to ask y'all, what do y'all see when you view this piece? I couldn't directly connect that to the work at hand, so it's hard to say exactly what we're witnessing, so just wanted to pass that off to y'all. What do y'all see when you view this piece? And so we definitely see the influence of, say, science fiction within the work at hand, right? The work before us, like I said earlier, is part of the Objkts miniseries, and I actually studied one of those works 1 year ago in April of 2022. I'm going to bring that in real quick and see what we can learn. Alright, so I brought in the other work from the Objkts miniseries, the one that I studied in April of 2022, well over a year now. The work before us is entitled Components, that is in comparison to the work One for All, which of course we are studying today. And I actually got the slim version of this just to be in common comparison to the work at hand. In both instances, we feel this virtual sense, right? The landscape is surreal, it is virtual, even reminiscent of Tron. We also see the sharp and jagged nature of form in both instances here. Of course, the colors are quite different in both compositions, but they owe this dark form to really define their presence and just make it impossible to miss here. So just wanted to bring that in to give some comparison to the original work that we studied today. So both of these pieces are part of the Objkts miniseries by Ryan Hawthorne. Alright, I really hope y'all enjoyed today. The work before us is a digital render, so it's created with a digital rendering program. That program is going to be Cinema 4D with some assistance from the Octane render engine. So Cinema 4D I know is used by a ton of professionals, from Beeple to Ryan Hawthorne here to Future Self, so many different artists that are using Cinema 4D. So if you're currently creating in Blender, of course Cinema 4D is not open source like Blender is, but if you want to take your renders to the next level, I would surely suggest Cinema 4D. If you're experienced, it's a great place to go into. And if you're feeling, risky, if you're feeling very confident, you could certainly try your hand to start in Cinema 4D if you've never created a digital render. But at the end of the day, the work before us is pretty realistic, but of course shows that surrealism. So we absolutely love to see it. And like I said, I really hope y'all enjoyed today. We talked about so many different things, from the impact of this virtual landscape, the sharp and jagged nature of form. We talked about colors in the composition. We even compared it to another work that we studied from the exact same series. So really hope y'all enjoyed today. If y'all enjoyed today's episode, make sure to check out the original artist Ryan Hawthorne, doing some amazing stuff in the world of 3D art and, of course, science fiction more broadly. Like I said, really hope y'all enjoyed. If y'all did, go check out the original artist Ryan Hawthorne. My name's Apollo. This was Apollo Art Analysis, and I'll see y'all on the next episode. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you'd like to support our work directly, please check out our Apollo community tokens. Apollo Art Exchange is an ecosystem of art appreciation which elevates artists each and every day. Thanks for listening.